So hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 13 of our Alpine F1 Manager save. Now if you didn't watch the last episode, go back and watch that one in Hungary because it was a decent race in all fairness. It was Max Verstappen who won from Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso looked like he was in pole position quite literally for most of it, but unfortunately Max Verstappen did manage to get the win. We finished P9 and 10. We used to finish in P9 and 10, but we didn't have any money to build the upgrades what we developed for the car. Now this weekend we have, and we've managed to get one of those upgrades on the car, namely the rear wing. And if we just have a look at the rank on the grid on the right hand side here, just to bring you up to date with everything. So the high speed we are pretty good at. That shows the rank of the car. Obviously there's 2 cars in every team, so car 1 is the 7th best on the grid, so we're the 4th best team at high speed cornering, but unfortunately we are at the 5th best in terms of top speed and acceleration, but we're not bad at the DRS effectiveness, so we are around where we are finishing at this moment in time. We have got a little bit of money left, 160,000, I know, quids in indeed, and this weekend we are heading to Belgium. But before we get to that, let's just have a quick recap on the standings. Red Bull are leading the constructors by 52 points from Ferarri. Aston Martin sitting comfortably in P3 in a little bit of no man's land. We're in P5, comfortably ahead of Haas, but if Haas have a stonking race, who knows what could happen. Driver standings wise, Max Verstappen is now 60 odd points in front of Charles Leclerc. The 2 Ferrari boys are keeping him honest. Checo Perez underperforming possibly in that Red Bull as he is in real life. Esteban Ocon now is 3 points in front of Pierre Gasly, the Gasman. So as we said, we are going to Spa this weekend. It is a sprint weekend, so I expect a longer episode. We've got the qualifying on Friday. I do like the Friday night qualifying, it must be said. Saturday, the sprint and the race on Sunday. Historic safety car chance, 75%. We haven't had many safety cars, it must be said, in recent races. We've got 44 laps round here. It is a very long lap indeed. Car attributes. High speed cornering, we've got that. That bodes well, but top speed and acceleration, not so much. Expect the strategy is a 1-stop from either softs on to mediums, but a 2-stop may be applicable. So we may split the strategy. I might start getting a bit creative with strategy in the next few races to see what we can do. I've been playing it a little bit safe, but maybe it's time to be a bit more eccentric with strategy. But I'm going to now get through practice, and I'll see you for Friday night qualifying in Spa. So here we are there, guys. A final few corners in Q3, and it's got to be said, Ocon and Gasly have looked pretty quick this weekend. I reckon we are in a fight with the Mercedes cars. Let's have a look as Esteban Ocon crosses the line. That's actually the first session that he's not beaten a Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton has got a grid penalty for this weekend, so something to bear in mind. Pierre Gasly does cross the line, but doesn't look as quick as Esteban Ocon. One other thing to note, you may notice that there is only 1 Red Bull in Q3. Checo Perez was out in Q2. So if we just fast forward on, I believe it is going to be Max Verstappen on pole for the sprint race. Charles Leclerc in P2, Sainz P3, then Hamilton, Stroll, Alonso, Stroll, Hamilton, Russell, Ocon and Gasly, and then K-Mag. K-Mag just loves being around Alpines. Let's have a look at the sprint race. Right then, guys, sprint race strategy. I know it's a complex one, this one. It's a choice between mediums or softs. We're going softs. We believe that's 4 seconds quicker, so we might as well put our guys on that. One thing to know is Pierre Gasly's, Esteban Ocon's gearbox. We've been playing around with it. Now he's got his only decent gearbox left in. He may have to take a gearbox penalty depending on how this goes, so just bear that in mind. But 7th and 8th, could we pick up double points in the sprint? Who knows? Let's get to 5 red lights for the sprint here at Belgium.
15 long and challenging laps await the drivers in today's sprint here at Spa.
And once the lights go out here at Spa, the attention will shift to the first corner, a turn that has seen its fair share of dramatic incidents over the years.
So then, it's time to see who wants that victory the most. Here we are, the sprint around Spa-Francorchamps. And it's lights out. Away we go.
And away we go, and straight away we can see Charles Leclerc's car pointing at Max Verstappen. We have not told our guys to be aggressive early doors here because we remember what happened in that last race at Hungary. But Esteban Ocon is in P7 just about, but down to P8. It's a good start from George Russell. Very aggressive for him. Let's have a look. Everyone on the soft compound tyres. So as we start away, Verstappen is leading from Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz P3, Alonso P4, then comes Hamilton, Stroll, Russell, Ocon, Gasly and Magnussen. Magnussen, look how close he is to Pierre Gasly. It must be said, Checo Perez is going to be wanting to make his way through this pack as quickly as he possibly can, but Pierre Gasly is going to be told to always defend here. We want him defending at all times, and meanwhile Esteban Ocon is going to be told to get attacking. We reckon we can beat a Mercedes this weekend. It's certainly not within out of the realms, I should say. So both cars are getting told they can use the ERS as they see necessary. Pierre Gasly holding up Esteban Ocon. Pierre Gasly holding up Magnussen and Perez might not be the worst thing in the world, as Esteban Ocon is latching onto the back of George Russell. You join us as we come on to lap 3, and Esteban Ocon is just about keeping in touching distance of George Russell at this moment in time. He's latching onto that DRS and it's helping him a real lot at this moment, just about staying in the pace with George Russell. What this is meaning is that the work that's going on by Pierre Gasly is helping his teammates out absolutely massively, because Esteban Ocon just about staying in that DRS range. As we said, we're going to have to give him the deploy again to do so, but Pierre Gasly is managing these two behind him. Checo Perez must be going absolutely bananas in that Red Bull, because he simply cannot get past the Haas of Kevin Magnussen and the Alpine of Pierre Gasly, which at the moment is the width of 2 London buses. He's doing a fantastic job. 4.5 seconds, but look at this. Esteban Ocon is now 1.5 seconds despite using the ERS. We just don't seem to have the pace of George Russell, even though we beat him in the first 2 qualifying sessions. So something to bear in mind there. As we switch towards the front, Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc very much going at it. Carlos Sainz in P3 been battling with Fernando Alonso. Hamilton in P5, Stroll P6. He's right at the gearbox of Lewis Hamilton. Then comes Russell, Ocon and Pierre Gasly in P9, who is still keeping the Haas behind him. Lap 4. And as we come on to lap 4, we can see now Magnussen and Perez have finally made their way past Pierre Gasly. He hasn't had the pace at this moment in time, and Gasly is down now to P11. Ocon 1.6 seconds behind Russell. It's going to be very interesting when and if Magnussen and Perez manage to catch him. Lap 7, halfway through the sprint, just about, and Pierre Gasly is dropping down the order. He's now down to P13. I'm not quite sure what is wrong with Pierre Gasly today. Not sent to have the pace all weekend, but particularly struggling in this sprint race and dropping around, what, 4 or 5 positions? More worryingly as well, Checo Perez 3.5 seconds behind Esteban Ocon. That's a concern, although Ocon's tyres once again holding on more than the competitors around us. So something to bear in mind. By the time Perez catches us in a few laps time, we may have the much better tyres. Verstappen's now pulled out a 1.6 second gap at the front from Leclerc. It's pretty spaced out apart from Fernando Alonso chasing down Carlos Sainz. He fancies a podium here in this sprint race. Ocon in P9, Ocon P8, Perez in P9, but catching all the time. We've got some yellow flags on circuit, and let's have a little look at who this involves. It looks like it's Lance Stroll, was running in P5 in totally clean air, just got a bit trigger happy on the throttle, clipped the barriers, and we can see there, that's the Mercedes going through. Have we managed to jump them as well? We can see the Aston Martin garage. He's probably the coolest man in garage, this guy close to us, but looked very depressed towards the end there. But Esteban Ocon now up in 2P7 and being told to push a little bit now. We feel this is coming to us. Pierre Gasly has just continued dropping all the way down now to P15. 3 laps to go. Gap to Perez is 2 seconds. But Ocon now starting to push, and the same is going to be told to Pierre Gasly as well. 3 laps to go. Verstappen's got it won, but Ocon is in P7 and in pursuit of the Brit George Russell. And you join us back live because Esteban Ocon has thought, I've had enough of George Russell, and he's got past him beautifully using the ERS. Esteban Ocon is up into P6. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly is sat behind this McLaren of Oscar Piastri and trying to make some moves here, darting to the left and right. I would expect Pierre Gasly to get him here. Let's have a little look as we ride on board with Pierre Gasly. We do manage to get him just about as we keep it down the inside. We'll have the better run into this next corner. Pierre Gasly makes the same move as his teammate, but his teammate is much further up the order. And just have a look at the tyres as well. 60% and 57%. We are decent on our tyres. Lap 14. Max Verstappen wins from Charles Leclerc, but we can see here Esteban Ocon crossing the line, P6. It's a good day for Esteban Ocon, who's looked particularly quick all weekend. P6 is fantastic. Pierre Gasly, where has your pace gone, my friend? As he's still tottering around the final sector, he's managed to overtake Piastri, but not pull away. This has given us massive food for thought in terms of strategy tomorrow. Pierre did not like these soft compound tyres. Maybe we're going to have a look at a different strategy for Pierre tomorrow. We are expecting rain as well, so that's going to add to the jeopardy. P14 for Pierre Gasly is exceptionally disappointing, as his race engineer is telling him.
And it's a points finish in today's sprint for Esteban Ocon.
I imagine they'll roll up their sleeves now and make sure their next performance goes even better.
So there we have it then, as we saw Max Verstappen in P1, Leclerc P2, Fernando Alonso getting P3, Carlos Sainz 4th, Hamilton has got that grid penalty, so Ocon's going to start 5th for tomorrow's Grand Prix. Then comes Russell, Perez, Stroll and K-Mag. All the way down there is Pierre Gasly, who probably will start in P13. Let's have a look at the strategy for Sunday. Right then, guys, we're going to do something very different on the strategies here, so just bear with us while I talk you through this. The rain is coming, but it's coming around lap 38. We reckon we're going to be switching on to inters, maybe full wets towards the end, so something we've got to look at, but that means we can use 2 sets of soft compound tyres. We thought Pierre Gasly were pretty decent. He got through 15 laps, probably could have done a couple more. So Esteban Ocon is going to start on the softs and go on to another fresh set of softs, then go on to the inters at the end. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly is going to goal hang. He's going to be on the hard compound tyre all the way through the race and then get to the inters at the end. So 2 very different strategies. The rain at the end is going to cause some jeopardy. Let's get to 5 red lights for what's going to be a very interesting Belgian Grand Prix.
We've got 44 laps ahead of us here in Spa as we get ready for the Belgian Grand Prix. Yuki Tsunoda will be hoping things go his way today.
Starting P10 puts them in the right place to get some points, but there's still a lot to do.
Here we go. It's time to go racing. Get ready. It's the Belgian Grand Prix. And it's lights out and all.
And away we go, and straight away we're looking at Max Verstappen. Leclerc's tried the same again, but Verstappen has managed to hold on this time. Meanwhile, Esteban Ocon on the hard compounded tyre has thought, I tell you something, I might have a little look at this here early doors, and he's having a look at Carlos Sainz. But what these soft compound tyres are also allowing him to do is defend a little bit as well. So Esteban Ocon now is going to be told to, as usual, be aggressive on the overtakes, and we're not going to worry too much about Checo Perez. I expect to try and hold on to Checo Perez, believe it or not, on these soft compound tyres, but Carlos Sainz is the man we're looking at here. Pierre Gasly, on the other hand, he's already nearly dropped a second to the cars in front. In fact, he's battling away with Lewis Hamilton, who's on the soft compound tyre. Pierre Gasly on the hard, of course, but remember, it's a long game for Pierre Gasly, as somebody's been absolutely punted there. We're hopefully going to get a replay of this. Let's have a little look. I believe that was Magnussen, it was. And this is a massive crash for Kevin Magnussen on lap 1 at Spa. Let's have a look at this. Kevin Magnussen, what happens here? Just locks up both front tyres. It's not massive. To be fair, I thought that were a lot worse. But it's been a very interesting start. Leclerc's got the lead of the Grand Prix on the mediums, but Esteban Ocon is trying to hold on to Carlos Sainz at this moment in time. That's the plan. If he can do this on the soft compounded tyre, we're going to tell him to deploy as well. He's holding up a little bit of a gaggle of cars behind him, but if he can get in the DRS range of these cars in front, we might be laughing. As we come towards the end of the lap 1, it's Leclerc from Verstappen. And as we came to the end of the lap 1, it was nearly 3 wide into the bus stop chicane even. I cannot speak today, I do apologise. It's Checo Perez on the inside, getting the move done. They were still battling as they came out of the chicane, but Checo Perez up into P5 now. Hopefully, we can just drag on to Checo Perez a little bit and let him drag us up to Carlos Sainz in front. So Esteban Ocon, if he can keep up with Carlos Sainz, which we're going to give him the ERS to do, and defend from the car behind, which that car is Lance Stroll, remember, had a spin earlier on this weekend. Esteban Ocon, if he can keep up with Perez, we will be laughing on the soft compounder tyres. So lap 2, still Leclerc. Gasly doing okay. Hamilton's got past, but at the moment sitting pretty in P12. And once again at a start of a race, we are struggling. I wonder if this is a problem with us getting his tyres up to temperature. But Lance Stroll getting the inside line, managing to get past Esteban Ocon. And Esteban Ocon drops a position now down to P7. Not ideal at all. Maybe Lance Stroll can pull us up to the cars in front, but I would expect us on the soft compound tyres to be a little bit better, it must be said. Pierre Gasly has lost a position to Nick De Vries, but if he can hang on to the back of him, that's not a problem. It is now time for DRS, so let's have a little look at what happens here. I will be very, very interested with Esteban Ocon here. Look at the exit difference there between Stroll and Ocon, losing nearly a tenth of a second on that exit. But let's have a look what happens when he gets in DRS range, which he should. But look at the difference in times here. We are really struggling to keep up with Lance Stroll, but he is going to get DRS here. So here we go. Is he going to drop this gap down by much? We are better in the high-speed corners, but Lance Stroll has still got 9/10 of a second. We don't seem to have the pace, even though we are on better tyres. Very, very interesting indeed. Pierre Gasly is just battling away at the moment, but he's dropped out of the DRS range of Nick De Vries now, lap 3. Right, Esteban Ocon has finally found a car that he can keep up with, and that car is the Mercedes of George Russell. They are battling neck and neck, and as we can see here, George Russell just about getting the better of him through that long left-hander. But as we skip back to real time, Esteban Ocon is in the DRS range of George Russell. This may help us now. We may be able to stick on the back of these Mercedes, and straight away Esteban Ocon looking to get a move done. He's not going to get it done into this turn, or is he? Chucks one down the inside, gets the move done on the Mercedes and shoves him off the track a little bit as well there. It's hard but good clean racing from Esteban Ocon as we go up Eau Rouge. He enjoyed that, did Esteban Ocon. And now George Russell is going to get DRS down this straight. So let's have a little look here. We're going to tell him to always defend. Of course he can do that. And he's going to be defending from George Russell down this straight. He's got 2 Mercedes on his bike, but if he beats those 2 today, I would be absolutely delighted. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly under pressure again from it's Oscar Piastri this time, but he looks like he's got that job in hand. So Esteban Ocon down to P7, but now battling with these Mercedes. Lap 6, Leclerc still leads from Verstappen. Alonso in third, over 1.7 seconds in front of Carlos Sainz. We have got a virtual safety car, and let's have a look at this crash. It's Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. Are these two going to come together? It's Charles Leclerc locking up, absolutely punting Max Verstappen. And Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, is that them both done from this race? There's disappointment in the Ferrari garage, but Charles Leclerc and Verstappen are both out of the Grand Prix. What an incident here at Spa. Esteban Ocon has been told to pit. Most of the grid are pitting, but interestingly, going on to the softer compounder tyres, we've decided to pit Esteban onto the hard compounder tyre. And the reason behind this is we think the hard compounder tyre can get us to the rain period. So that's the idea for us. Ocon is now behind his teammate Pierre Gasly, who will be told at the start of the safety car restart to get out of the way. Pierre Gasly doesn't need to be fighting his teammate, so he's going to be told to rarely defend that and try and let his teammate go, but we don't want to let Hamilton go as well. But all these cars that's just come in have come onto the medium compounder tyre. I don't think the medium is going to get to the rain period, so it's a very different race for us now. It's a gamble on strategy once again, but let's hope it pays off. We'll come back when we're back to green flag running. DRS enabled straight away, and Pierre Gasly is going to have a fight on his hands here because he's got Lewis Hamilton behind him and Esteban Ocon. It's going to be a real cracker this. We had Esteban Ocon in P5. Obviously, he will resume P6 when he comes back out onto the circuit, but it just made sense for us to get Esteban Ocon into the pits, I felt, and straight away Ocon is having to defend from Lewis Hamilton as Pierre Gasly is driving up the road here. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Hamilton attacking Gasly. Let's see what Ocon can do here. He's managed to hold him off so far, and the tyres are starting to get back up to temperature. So Pierre Gasly sitting pretty. He's only got to make one more stop, as has Esteban Ocon, who is fighting with Lewis Hamilton. Lap 11. This is going to be an intriguing Grand Prix in which Fernando Alonso leads the Belgian Grand Prix. Pierre Gasly has been fighting with Lewis Hamilton, but Lewis Hamilton on those mediums is just a lot quicker than us at this moment in time. We'll get to see the replay here as Lewis Hamilton is getting him DRS down that straight. Nothing we could do about that, and Lewis Hamilton is up into P6. Ocon now has got to catch up to his teammate. That'd be absolutely ideal, and if he could drag his teammate along, that would be even better. And he's burning his ERS at this moment to try and achieve that aim. But a long way to go. 1.3 seconds now, gap between them, but coming down all the time. Lap 12, Alonso leads still. Gasly P7, Ocon P8, but drivers will be swapped very shortly. Lap 15, Fernando Alonso's just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, but Esteban Ocon, remember that gearbox where we talked about before the start of the race? That has now become minor, and that is starting to affect his performance somewhat, and he's having to defend from these cars behind. He's pushing on the fuel, he's pushing on the ERS, but Esteban Ocon struggling with his gearbox at the moment. We'll have a quick rundown of the top 10, which includes Fernando Alonso in P1, Perez P2, Sainz is in P3, but fighting Perez tooth and nail for this P2. Stroll in P4, Russell and Hamilton P5 and 6. Then comes us in 7th and 8th. Tsunoda is just up into P8. And Esteban Ocon has ran wide, and that is a huge moment in this race because he was the man this weekend who looked quicker. Maybe it's to do with that issue with his gearbox, but Esteban Ocon onto the gravel trap and has made that serious mistake, and he's now going to come out in P14. Gasly now on the worn hard tyres. He's going to have to fight off Tsunoda and Hülkenberg. That is a big, big moment in this race. Tsunoda's now in P8, Hülkenberg P9, and Albon on for a point for Williams. Pierre Gasly, for 20 laps, has done an absolutely stonking job of holding off these cars, but Nico Hülkenberg is closing him down at an absolute rate of knots here. But I'm backing Pierre Gasly to score decent points today, especially when the rain comes. He didn't have a good sprint race. Ocon's in P15. We are considering retiring the car at this moment in time. It is really, really struggling, that car. We are going to make a decision on that in the next few laps, but it's all eyes on Pierre Gasly on lap 20. Alonso still leading. It's still as you were. Hamilton now, though, has the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Russell's mediums are cooked. Pierre Gasly's hard compound tyres not in bad nick, but Hülkenberg now right on the back of that Alpine, and it might not be the worst thing if he does overtake and Pierre Gasly can just latch onto the back if he possibly can. Lap 20. Join us back on lap 21. We see Nico Hülkenberg, who has just overtaken Pierre Gasly. Interestingly, not in the position I expected to overtake him, but it was a good move, to be fair, from the Hulk in that Haas car. Hopefully Pierre can stay with him a little bit now. That's the idea, especially with the aid of DRS. That would be absolutely ideal. You'll notice on the bottom left, Esteban Ocon is being retired from the Grand Prix. Didn't make sense to carry on. He was lapping 1.5 seconds worse than Lando Norris. We couldn't put that gearbox on for this weekend. We've tried to manage it as effectively as we can, but unfortunately it's not been good enough for Esteban Ocon, who scored his points on Saturday, but we thought we'd save the rest of the components in the car and let him come home and come into the pits for an early bath this afternoon. But Pierre Gasly now, hopefully, latching onto the back of Nico Hülkenberg. We don't mind this at all. We certainly don't mind this. Pierre Gasly latching onto the back of Hülkenberg now, who's quick at this moment in time. He's going to get DRS as well. This could work out very well for Pierre, who, remember, he's going all the way to the rain period. We have got to get that rain period absolutely spot on at this moment in time, because if we get that right, Pierre could benefit massively. Lap 21. You join us back on lap 30. There's a little bit of rain around, and Pierre Gasly has managed to stick onto the back of Nico Hülkenberg. It's all about getting this call right. This is what this P8, P7, possibly P6 all rests on at this moment in time. Pierre Gasly yet to make a pit stop. We are going to have a look at the weather very shortly and see whereabouts we need to be. Do we need to be on inters? Do we need to be on full wets? It's going to hammer it down towards the end. Could be very, very crucial indeed. Alonso still leading. I bet he wishes this weather would stay away because Stroll's in P2 and Perez is in P3. We're on for an Aston Martin 1-2 at this moment in time. The medium tyres are practically dead now. He's got the best tyres on the grid, has Pierre Gasly, and that's starting to show as he's pushing Nico Hülkenberg all the way here, and he's actually overtaking Nico Hülkenberg. So fair play to Pierre Gasly, making these moves work. Late on in this Grand Prix, he's drove superbly today. Esteban Ocon will be gutted that he's not in it, but Pierre Gasly still fighting with Hülkenberg. It's great side-by-side racing. He's going to have the inside line for this next corner. Is he going to make it count? He's still keeping his nose in Nico Hülkenberg, but it looks like Pierre Gasly's got it to the pit wall because we need to work out just when this rain is coming, and it's coming quick. It's raining in Belgium, ladies and gentlemen, and we're watching these cars come round the final corner. They have carried on. I believe, if we get to the end of the next lap, it's going to be very, very wet indeed for us. We're going to box, and looking at this thing, looking at the prediction, we are going to box, and we're going on to intermediate tyres. So it's intermediate tyres for Pierre Gasly. Let's just make sure I click that. I certainly did. Pierre Gasly is going to be coming in on this next lap. Lap 32, Gasly coming in. I reckon it's going to be very important to get in now because by the time he gets halfway around the lap, it's going to be time for inters. Let's see what happens here. We're going to ride on board live with it. We're looking at Hülkenberg behind. We're looking at Russell who's in. Who is Russell? What is he going on to? Is he going on to wets? Is he going on to inters? This will probably vindicate our decision. And it looks like to me those are intermediate tyres for George Russell, and everyone is in. Pierre Gasly is in as well. Will these cars start to make up time on the front runners? What we don't need is any issues in this pit stop. And we've got held, we've got held, we've got held, and we are out. And Nico Hülkenberg, has he jumped us? He hasn't. We've managed to get out back where we started, but George Russell a little bit further up the road. So that's not the end of the world at all. But Pierre Gasly out onto the intermediate tyres. It's a terrible double stack for Aston Martin. They had to bring both cars in at the same time, and Alonso, he's still out in P1, but Lance Stroll, poor Lance Stroll, is down in P4 now. He's lost a couple of positions. He will get the chance to make it back. Where are our guys in terms of the front runners? The front runners have been and gone. Kevin Magnussen and Hamilton are also in the pit now. Is Magnussen coming into the pits? He's got to be coming into the pits this lap. I would expect he certainly is. Hamilton is out. Where is Russell? Russell's coming around the bus stop chicane, and Gasly a little bit further back. So everyone basically staying in position, but Pierre Gasly, it's not gone too badly for him at all, and he can go aggressive on these tyres now. So Pierre Gasly in P8, hopefully, will be P7 once Kevin Magnussen comes in. Let's have a little look at this. It's a hold, it's a hold, it's a hold. It's definitely P7 for Pierre Gasly now. There we go. He's managing to lap a little bit quicker than Nico Hülkenberg at this moment in time as well. So Magnussen's pit stop issue dropped him down. Could we get a P7 here? I would certainly hope so. Lap 38, we've got a car off the track, and it is Lance Stroll. My word, he was in P2, absolutely cruising, and now Lance Stroll was in P4 and has smashed it into the barriers. Not good at all for him. Let's have a look. I'm guessing he's coming into the pit lane. He must be coming into the pit lane. Lance Stroll, where are you? You are coming round. He's got a couple more bits to do. So we'll keep an eye on where Lance Stroll comes out. I think he should have plenty of time to get out in front of George Russell. So he'll still probably only be in P5, P6 when he comes out. But Gasly at this moment in time has sort of weathered the storm from Nico Hülkenberg. We are just cooling the tyres a little bit. We've been a little bit aggressive on them. But Pierre Gasly doing a decent job against Hülkenberg, who's fighting with Yuki Tsunoda for points this afternoon. And there's going to be some points for Williams as well. So there's some different cars in the top 10. Obviously with Leclerc, Verstappen and Ocon out. But Gasly in P7, not bad at all. Alonso looks like he's got it won, ladies and gents. With 6 laps to go, he's 4.5 seconds clear of closest contender, Checo Perez. Last lap of the Grand Prix, and Fernando Alonso is just making his way around the bus stop chicane. He's that far in front, it's absolutely ridiculous. But Fernando Alonso comes around the final corner, and Fernando Alonso is going to win the Belgian Grand Prix. What a moment for him. Perez Perez is going to come in behind in second, then Carlos Sainz, but there is a battle on this last lap, and it's a battle between Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda for P7. He's 23 seconds back from George Russell, is Pierre Gasly, but he's having to do some bloody good defending because Yuki Tsunoda is looking punchy in the AlphaTauri. He's got a little bit more to negotiate of this track, but Pierre Gasly giving it absolutely everything here to hold off an AlphaTauri. We haven't had the pace this weekend, it must be said. We've got a new rear wing on. I'm disappointed with the performance of the car, but if we can come out with a P7 today, I would take that all day long, as Pierre Gasly has got one last sector to negotiate. As long as he doesn't mess it up into the bus stop chicane, we should be absolutely laughing. So Pierre Gasly, we are going to ride on board helmet can with Pierre Gasly as he comes up towards the bus stop chicane. Here we go, right and left. Yuki Tsunoda looks too far back, and Pierre Gasly, just as the sun starts to come out here around Spa, he's going to get P7. It's a good points finish for him. We'll take that. We really will. After a difficult weekend in Spa, it's P7 for Pierre.
Now, Esteban Ocon won't be in a hurry to talk about that race today.
Having to retire early will no doubt be a bitter disappointment. But today is done, and it's all about looking forward.
And the talented veteran rounds off another great drive, adding to his impressive F1 podium tally.
Their first win of the season, and the team looking on will be very proud, I'm sure.
First win of the season, and how good is it to see Fernando Alonso back on that podium. Great work from him, a fantastic drive for Aston Martin. Lance Stroll very unlucky as well, had to double stack on a different day. That could have been an Aston Martin 1-2. Checo Perez finishing in P2, Sainz P3, Hamilton in P4, gaining 10 places did Lewis Hamilton. Stroll in P5, Russell P6, Gasly P7, Tsunoda P8, Hülkenberg P9, and Alexander Albon in P10. As we know, Ocon, Verstappen and Leclerc did not finish. Driver standings wise, Max Verstappen gains 8 points from the sprint weekend, but Charles Leclerc only gains 7 as well. The big winner is Carlos Sainz, who moves up to 212 points. The gap between Leclerc and Verstappen is just around 61 points. So there we go for that. That's 61. Is that correct? That's correct. Yes, great maths there. Pierre Gasly actually overtakes his teammate, and they are now level on points, are the two Alpine drivers in P9 and 10. It's looking increasingly unlikely that we're going to be able to attack Mercedes. Williams scored some decent points, and AlphaTauri scored their first points of the season. Red Bull on 483, and Ferrari 27 points apiece from the weekend for those two guys. It stays as they were. Hope you enjoyed that one. A lot of incidents, a lot of strategy calls. Did we get them all right? Let me know down in the comments what you think. We are still improving the car. We're doing his absolute utmost. But boy, oh boy, is this first season been a slog. We'll see you on the next one. Ta-ra!